Game day, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Red Sea, it is time for battle. Let's get right to it. Welcome back to Cardinals Daily. I'm Eddie Law. Hit that sub, hit that bell, send that like, and let's get right to it. Again, game day. Thursday night football. Seahawks at our house in State Farm Stadium. Let's dive right into what's shaping up to be one of the more intriguing matchups heading to Thursday night. Their offense against the Cardinal defense. First off, it's been a bit of a renaissance for Sam Darnold. Let's give the man the credit where it's due. Through 3 games in Seattle so far, he's looked as good as we've ever seen him. He's completing 70% of his passes. That's 6th best in the NFL, and averaging 9 yards per attempt. Her career high for Sam Darnold, which, again, impressive. More importantly, he's only been sacked 3 times. For a guy who's used to look like a turnover waiting to happen, suddenly looks competent, like a quarterback who's calm, confident, and finding the right system. So what's helped him along? Jackson Smith-Njigba, right? Stepped up, become the alpha in his passing game. Cooper Kupp, steady as ever. And then you got Torrey Horton, who's quietly been a red zone killer with 3 touchdowns in 3 games. That is the kind of depth Seattle hasn't had in quite a while, and it's definitely showing. But here's the flip side, the run game. Kenneth Walker III and Zach Charbonnet have done just enough. 15 first downs, 4 touchdowns between them. But you can't call this a dominant rushing attack just yet. Walker hasn't had that breakout game, and Charbonnet has been a solid compliment. But neither guy is tilting the field at all. He's not really putting any fear in anybody. Here's the kicker. Darnold isn't scrambling much, and the Seahawks haven't tapped into Jalen Monroe's legs either, just yet. Okay, let's just see what Sam Darnold does, the rest of the season. That's a wrinkle they might need to explore, especially against the Arizona defense has been stingy against the run. Speaking of that Cardinals defense, they've only allowed 1 first-half touchdown all season long. Let me repeat that: 1. That just shows the discipline early in the game, right, or in the drive. So they're gap sound, and they force opponents to beat them through the air. The problem for Arizona has been that we're just not creating enough pressure on quarterbacks, and we hit them, sack them, sure we touch them, but not enough just yet. And their pass defense has been pretty leaky overall. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the offense isn't on the field enough, and the defense definitely gets tired. And we have injuries in the secondary. We're injured all over the place. We can talk about that here in a little bit. But that's where the Seattle receivers could have a field day, is in the secondary. If Darnold stays upright, there are plays to be made against our secondary. Now, flip it over to the Cardinal side of the ball, because as much as we've done, we're talking about Darnold's progress and all that. Arizona's limping into this one. The James Conner injury, we can't even like mince words here. It's brutal, right? Done for the season with the ankle injury, and Trey Benson's being asked to step up into a role he's never really had, outside in the NFL anyway. In college, of course, but in the NFL, it's different. He averages about 5 yards per carry in his career so far, but he's never handled more than 13 touches in a game. That's absolutely changing tonight. That's not a plug-and-play solution. You need the O-line to open lanes, and right now it's shaky. Paris Johnson Jr. missed last game. He's banged up. Calvin Beachum is okay. And even then, he's questionable coming in this game. And this line hasn't been, really been, road grading anybody. So, and then there's the Kyler Murray thing. I can't even gloss over that. He hasn't been bad, but the limitations are clearly showing, right? Cardinals have just 2 passing touchdowns in the last 10 quarters. That's not gonna cut it. Damn sure not gonna win us the NFC West like that, right? McBride has been reliable, but his production is down compared to last year. Marvin Harrison Jr., everyone's preseason darling, hasn't top 6 targets in a game, and has he had that really, really ugly drop last week against San Francisco. One of the reasons we lost that game for sure. But if Kyler's supposed to be our franchise guy, he hasn't shown it, right? And Marvin Harrison Jr., he's supposed to be a franchise guy possibly if it's not Kyler, and he hasn't settled in quite yet. At the drops from other receivers, and you're asking Murray to play mistake-free football with very little margin for error, which he hasn't shown he can do, really at all in 7 years. Let's be real. So when you put it all together, here's what Thursday looks like. The Seahawks are ascending. They're led by Darnold, who looks reborn, and the defense is already top tier. The Cardinals, fighting injuries, leaning on unproven pieces, and struggling to finish drives and games. Seattle's offense isn't perfect yet, let's be real, right? Especially with that run game still reaching for the rhythm, but the trajectory is there. And if the Cardinals, can't find some explosive plays on offense, this might be another long night for Jonathan Gannon's offensive group. And it's going to be something where we're going to have to lean on this defense once again. And again, it brings you back to those Kurt Warner-led teams where the offense, the offensive line was so bad that he did just enough to score enough points, but it was the defense that really won those games a lot of the time. But again, we could do. I really need to do like a history a history of the Cardinals, maybe like short little, like 30-minute documentary type of deal. But we'll see if that happens, in the off season. All right, injuries. We're no strangers to that. We know how ugly it is right now in the injury room. Starting with the Cardinals. We'll talk injuries in this game. The Cardinals are in rough shape, especially up front, right? Offensive line looks like a triage unit at this point. Johnson Jr., he's our cornerstone left tackle, limited with a knee injury. Kelvin Beachum barely practiced this week. And so if Johnson can't go and Beachum can't go, or, very limited, we're thin at one of the most important positions in football. Certainly the most important position on this offensive line, protecting Kyler Murray's blind side. Add to that, Will Hernandez isn't just exactly ready yet. He's questionable. And Evan Brown, also questionable, but he's been playing and making plenty of mistakes himself, might I add. And suddenly Murray's protection looks shaky as hell. That's a problem against the Seattle defense, generating pressure without even having to blitz very much. They're good. Now in the backfield, James Conner's already, we already talked about that. He's on IR. He's out for the season. We forget about him for now. Trey Benson takes over as the lead back. He's talented. But again, he's never had more than those 13 touches in an NFL game. He's definitely going to get 20 plus in this one, I believe. And with the banged up line up front, tough assignment, man. On defense, things aren't much cleaner. Akeem Davis Gaithier is one of our linebackers. He's questionable. Darren Hall is questionable and already beat up, a DB room. Will Johnson's doubtful, probably not going to play with the groin issue. And Zay Jones is out with a concussion. That means Kyler loses another weapon in the passing game, not that he's been using it anyway. And the secondary is going to have to plug in backups against one of the league's most efficient quarterbacks through 3 weeks, which we just talked about with Sam Darnold. So, the margin for error, it just keeps shrinking. And protecting Kyler Murray is going to be hard to do, obviously. Finding a ground game with Benson and surviving a thin secondary, tall order. Let's talk about Seattle. Seattle, they have injuries of their own, but their outlook is brighter. Zach Charbonnet is questionable with a foot issue, but he's probably going to play. He did practice fully all week, so that's not, we expect him to be there. That suggests he'll likely be available, but even with a slight limitation, he could put more work on Kenneth Walker III. He hasn't had his breakout game this season just yet. On defense, safety Nick Emanwori is doubtful with an ankle injury. That hurts him. But the Seahawks are getting healthier elsewhere in the secondary. Devin Witherspoon, their Pro Bowl corner, looks as be, he's going to be ready to return from a knee injury here on tonight. And Julian Love is good to go up to dealing with a hamstring injury. So they're going to be good on coverage, let's be real. Even if Emanwori doesn't play, Linebacker Boy May is questionable with a toe injury, and that's worth watching because he's been part of Seattle's top 5 pressure rate. If he can't play, it's going to be a responsibility on other guys and see if they can even handle it. And maybe Kyler can cause some scrambles and pull off some big plays. We'll see. O-line's not at full strength for them as well. Josh Jones, we know who Josh Jones is. Used to be a Cardinal. Out with an ankle injury. Anthony Bradford popped up late this week with a back issue, and that cuts into their depth for sure, but core starters should be fine. So for Seattle, it's more about depth and rotation pieces. The stars, Witherspoon, Leonard Williams, Julian Love, they're trending towards playing. The real question is how effective is Charbonnet going to be, right? And Mafe. And Walker, really, should he get all those carries that Charbonnet can't take? And, whether the line can absorb the loss of Josh Jones, they should be. Josh Jones is nothing special, let's be real. Cardinals eliminated this one with major concerns of offensive line, running back and wide receiver, and corner. And the Seahawks have some question marks here and there, but they're getting healthier when it matters most and where it matters most. And if both teams are banged up, Seattle's definitely better equipped than we are to absorb those hits. Guess we'll see what happens tonight. But, come game time, expect the Seahawks to test our battered and thin O-line and secondary while we're going to be scrambling to find rhythm with the offensive missing pieces and an identity on top of that. It's going to be a tough game, right? Injury reports don't usually win or lose games, but this week, damn sure might, man. Damn sure might. That takes me right into my hot take for today. 3 games into the season, Cardinals might just be the NFL's most hopeful disappointment. Okay? Now, what do I mean by that? On the surface, things don't look terrible. We competed hard, we avoided blowouts, we even grabbed a couple solid wins. We've shown that we can fight, shown flashes of identity and enough star power with Murray and Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride to keep fans intrigued. It's not a team that looks like they're bottoming out. But when you scratch beneath the surface, you see cracks that suggest this might not be sustainable. Start with the offense. Murray hasn't been bad. He's been steady, you could say, right? But steady isn't enough to win, really, when everyone around you's not pulling their weight. Run game, Connor's out. Benson's in. O-line shaken, beat up, banged up, whatever you want to call it. I really wish Will Hernandez was ready to go. We could definitely use him, man. I'm sick of the really, really stupid penalties from Evan Brown and guys like that. So, is what it is. So potentially 3 starting linemen compromised in 1 week. How do you expect Benson, Kyler, or for that matter, anybody else to succeed behind that line? Look at the passing game. Again, McBride's still a dependable option, but, he's producing less than he did a year ago. Harrison Jr., again, we talked about it. Hasn't lived up to it yet. So there's a lot of question marks here for this game, right? And for the rest of the season. Now, defense, credit where it's due. Gannon's group has been tough early in games. They've only given up 1 first half touchdown all season, and that's not easy to do. Clearly, it's the NFL. But the question is whether they can hold up for 4 quarters, right? Injuries already thinned out our entire secondary. Darren Hall, Will Johnson, Davis Gaither, questionable or worse. And when your depth is tested, that's when explosive plays start to happen. And they creep in because guys get tired, fatigue, and the lack of depth, catch up to us. So, yeah, the Cardinals have shown some signs of life, but that roster construction, injury fragility, schematic limitations on top of, Drew Pezzin being the one calling the freaking plays. I don't think this is a team that can sustain success over a 17-game season as we're set right now. We're trying to play with grit and guts, but grit doesn't protect your quarterback, and guts don't replace James Conner. And the scheme can only cover so much when your O-line and secondary is held together with tape and glue and hopes and dreams. Gannon has defended Pezzing plenty, his play caller. But the offensive creativity, it's not there. Through 3 games, we don't need to see any more. We know it's not there. You don't see adjustments to mask weaknesses. You don't see a plan that maximizes what Kyler does best. And too often it seems like the teams are relying on Kyler's improvisation and Harrison's upside instead of building a true identity around them. Now, the Cardinals are a hopeless team? No, they're not. Okay? We're not the 2023 Bears. We're not the 2020 Jets. If you guys remember those 2 teams, they were nightmares. We've got talent. We play hard. We compete. But being competitive in September is very different from being competitive in December. Right now, I see a team that looks closer to being exposed and elevated. Arizona has shown enough to keep you watching, but not enough to make you believe they can really hang with the NFC's best. And if the injuries keep piling up, if Harrison Jr. doesn't blossom now, and if his offense doesn't find more answers, that hopeful start could fade into disappointment real fast. And we're talking, I don't know if Monty believes in tanking. Maybe he does. But boy, it feels like we're headed that way. All right, comments time, folks. Let me get that for y'all here. There we go, comments. First one up here. Let's get this bad boy up here. All right. Mr. King Plumtree, there you go. Not going to ever give up on the Cards. This game coming up has me worried, but it's a division game and Benson's going to be ready. I sure damn hope so, dude. We need him. We absolutely need him. All right. Michael says the Lions are not letting Montgomery go. That's the knuckles to their Sonic Gibbs. That's such a good way to put it. 100%. Their whole offense is based off those 2. 100% right. It's a suggestion I had. I really would love to see him in Cardinal Red. Somebody, Cam, Scatterbo, him. We need something, right? The funny thing I was thinking about it might not matter if Kyler doesn't improve and get the ball to Marvin and McBride. It might not matter if his offensive line can't get it together and stay healthy. It might not matter. It's early in the season, but we could be looking at a make or break in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, right? Maybe even less. Maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll know who this team is, right? And we'll find out, is it time to maybe to start looking at next year? Is it time to start looking at maybe unloading Kyler? Maybe unloading, depending on what the prognosis for James Conner is, maybe unloading that contract. We'll see. It's honestly it's a really nerve-wracking time to be a Cardinal fan. I'll be honest with you guys. All right. Couple more comments here for you guys. GTO 222. Or no, Glow GTO, whatever. Sorry, bro. GTO 222. I'm gonna say. The Lions took many years to be where they are at. I spent 50 years supporting them. Kyler is the problem here until they move on. It's the same shit, different game. The team's ready to draft a quarterback and offensive line next year to watch things roll. I'm not. I don't disagree with you, man. I really don't. It's hard to say Kyler's the guy. Because every year we're like, oh, when he gets it. We're at year 7. If you didn't get it now, bro, that's it, right? I'm with you. If we don't turn it around and do something special this season, you gotta hit the reset button, right? but you need to be ready with a plan. Like, Arch Manning's not the guy. He's not the guy. Sam Levitt, absolutely not. Please stop talking about Sam Levitt as a freaking Heisman hopeful. Cut it out. He had Cam Scotterbo behind him. Cam was the entire offense. This guy had to deal with no defenses because Cam was taking them all on. Okay, so forget that. And there's really no free agents coming up, veteran free agents that we can pick up and be like, yes, that guy. Not like when Lamar Jackson was a free agent, but we knew good and damn well he was not going to leave the Ravens. Come on. But yeah, I'm with you, man. It might be time. Who knows? We'll know sooner than later. I'll tell you right now. Last comment. Oh, he's talking about the roster moves last week from that we made going into this game because we have a lot of injuries. I don't get how these moves help us at the running back spot. A scrub D-back and a practice squad player. We're short at running back, not defensive backs, and not on the line. The Cardinals are already throwing the towel in the season. It's hard to completely disagree with that point off the fact that James is out for the season. This might be a situation where tonight, next week, and the week after, that question will be answered. Is it time to call it? Is it time to be like, let's try to get a draft pick? We'll see. Either way, it's game day. All right. Make sure you follow on the socials right down here. It's gonna be a good time. All right. It's gonna do it for this episode of Cardinals Daily. I'm Eddie Law. Don't forget to hit that sub, hit that bell, hit that like, leave a comment. I'll see you all tomorrow for a recap of tonight's game. I'm about to get in my truck and head out to the game. You guys enjoy all the action. Keep on rooting. Keep staying hopeful. And let's hope we pull off a win here in a big division matchup, and hopefully start trending upwards here a little more hopeful. It's weird that we feel like this at 2-1, but Cardinal ball, ladies and gentlemen. Cardinal football.